Hello, my name is Paul Grubbs and I'm an English professor here at MLC, and the purpose of this video is to offer you an introduction to the MLC Writing Center. As you can see there, the Writing Center is located on the third floor of Old Main in the English offices. The interior of our space is immediately recognizable because of the long horizontal mural that the MLC Art Club installed there just a few years ago. First, I want to talk just a little bit about the philosophy of the Writing Center and how that impacts the work that we do with students. A myth about a Writing Center, ours included, is that the primary goal of the coaching session is to improve one single paper. The reality instead that we use to train our coaches is that the primary goal of the coaching session is to improve every writer. Now, if that seems like semantics or is confusing, perhaps some additional explanation can clarify. Because our philosophy impacts our practice. If our primary goal was to improve this single paper, the most efficient way for the Writing Center to function would be as a fix-it shop for expert editing. Students could drop off their papers or share them electronically. Coaches could spend half an hour to 45 minutes marking up the changes that might improve that paper, and then the students could follow that advice. And that would probably glean improved grades. But the problem is that would be turning over the authority for the project entirely from the student to the writing coach. The writing coach would take the keys of the project and move it forward, largely without the participation or probably genuine understanding of the student. And so that approach, targeting primarily the paper, comes with some real downsides. Instead, targeting improving every writer looks a little bit different. When we target the writer, our goal is to improve that writer's skills and confidence required for every phase of the composition process, this paper and future projects. And that means seeing one another, the coach and the student, as collaborators, as cooperating to together improve the final product and enhance the student's overall skills. And so that's going to mean forbidding, actually, handing over the paper entirely to the coach and having the coach mark it up, because that research does not reflect that actually moves the student forward. Now, that being said, there is still significant overlap between these two goals. My coaches are going to improve student writers, but they are also going to improve the student's progress on that individual paper. But they're going to do it in a way that is not isolated to that paper. If you imagine when you go to the doctor, what you're looking for is relief from whatever pain or discomfort you're experiencing. You don't expect the doctor to completely enable you to understand the mechanics and the biology of what's occurring. You just want to feel better. But in a writing coach situation, we want instead a side-by-side collaboration, imagining it more like an athletic coach, where they provide opportunities and experience perspective on how the student might improve. The student rehearses those ideas, and then they together decide whether they're moving forward or not. And that has some practical applications. The coach is going to remain beside the writer, side by side, not sitting across a large desk in a power structure that might be intimidating or unproductive. The keyboard or the paper or whatever writing is going to remain in the student's hands and not be grabbed and marked up by the coach. And finally, they're going to work together to identify and rehearse improvement strategies and then reflect on how those went. You may be surprised to know that a writing conference is often at least 50% just a conversation about writing, this project and writing overall. Stephen North is a scholar and leader in the field of writing centers, and this is a quick quote from him in that regard. Nearly everyone who writes likes and needs to talk about his or her writing, preferably to someone who will really listen, who knows how to listen, and who knows how to talk about writing. I recruit my coaches each year by contacting MLC professors, and I tell them writing skill is critical, but just as important is that my students have interpersonal skills so that they can have these critical conversations with students about their work. Those conversations are going to be focused on the individual student's goals for the project. Again, Stephen North, an hour of talk about writing at the right time between the right people can be more valuable than a semester of mandatory class meetings when the timing isn't right. That couldn't be more true based on my experience as a teacher of writing. And these conversations can occur between peers, in a trusting relationship, and they can have a dramatic impact on the forward motion of your students' work as a writer. And finally, our goal ultimately is that each student leaves a more capable, confident writer. It's not going to be a complete transformative experience in one 20-minute session, but if they leave with these two things, more capability and more confidence, each consultation is considered a victory. What does a Writing Center visit exactly look like? What do my coaches do? In the initial moments, they discuss the purpose. Here's what the Writing Center is about. Here's what my work as a coach is about. And let's look together at the assignment you've brought in. They discuss where the student is at in the process. Pre-writing, planning, drafting, revising, editing. Where on that journey do you currently stand? Then they identify the writer's goal for the session and they preview strategies. My coaches are trained and have resources that guide them in several different strategies that might be useful at each stage of the process. So they work to identify where are you at and what of these tools might springboard you forward in your work. And then finally, they implement a strategy and evaluate progress. Okay, we decided that a backwards outline, for instance, might help you revise your paper and check the continuity and coherence of the ideas. All right, take 15 minutes and start constructing that outline, and then we'll look at it together and talk about to what extent you think this is helping you move forward. And so again, the goal is that the student leaves with an expanded set of tools for current and future writing projects. I should also note that every session at the Writing Center concludes with a portal advising note from the coach. The coach will take notes about what the student came with, how they tried to move forward, and what the results seem to be, and you'll receive an email sharing access to those notes that evening when they're filed. Quickly, my goals for the Writing Center. For students, my goal is one visit for all new students. I want our first year students to have an accurate perception of what the Writing Center is about and what a visit might accomplish. I want them to see the firsthand benefits of making such a visit. Our recent numbers indicate a 40% return, and that's with the consideration that a great many of our students who come the first time, it's a mandatory visit required by a class. And finally, I want to make strong stewardship of my student coaches. I want them to be busy and I want their time to be used well. For faculty, I want the best possible collaboration between myself as the coordinator, my coaches, and you and your work. What does that mean? Well, consider whole class invitations you might make regarding the Writing Center. Might you, for instance, offer extra points or a boost in grade if a paper process for a student includes a Writing Center visit at whatever stage they choose? Or would you like it more structured? Would you like your students to come in at a specific stage in the process? If you want something like that, I can work with you to arrange a sign-up sheet and appointments. You will have to do very little except give me the deadline and your student roster. And I've done that with several professors, and they could help talk you through that process as well, but just contact me. And I'd also encourage teachers to think in terms of targeting students with an attitude of encouragement over punishment. If you frame the Writing Center as a negative consequence for poor performance, students will believe you. If you frame it as an opportunity for scaffolding to build someone up who might have gaps in their skills, they will believe you. And so your framing is going to be crucial to how that process plays out for student success. And for my coaches, my goal is to observe and offer them feedback. The Writing Center is not in our library. It's not in our student center. It's in the English offices right beside my office so that I can be here often in the evenings, hear the work going on, offer feedback and coaching along the way. We're open 8 to 10 p.m. Sunday to Thursday. The sessions are carefully tracked with notes and advising notes, as I mentioned before, and I work hard to follow up on those and improve coaching throughout the year. I hope that gives you some general background about the Writing Center, why we work the way we do, and how we hope to collaborate with you and enhance the work you're doing with students. Of course, if you ever have suggestions, feedback, or concerns, I would be thrilled to talk through those or correspond via email, whatever's most convenient for you. God's blessings on your work with your students, writing and otherwise, and thank you for taking the time to consider this preview of the Writing Center's purpose and work.